Dear parents, dear teachers, dear next generation students of the nation, here is Professor Varghese, Panthalookaran, speaking to you from Kochi. Today, I would like to discuss with you the challenges and promises of online preschool and primary school education. As you know, the most important group of teachers are the preschool and primary school teachers, because they lay the foundation of a child's learning. They define a child's future, and together with it, the future of the nation and of the humankind. At the same time, these group of teachers are the most challenged group of teachers. Imagine how hard it is to capture the attention of a new generation kid. How creative one should be to excel in this profession. I will speak about two important challenges to bring the preschool and primary school education online. The challenge one is to be there with the kids' challenge. It is clear when you teach the kids online, you cannot be physically present with the kids. But at the same time, your presence should be felt by them. So what could be the solution? Of course, you could continue with your regular classes online. But a new problem will be generated by this solution. The parents will have tough times to make kids attend to your online lectures. They may have to catch hold of the children by hand so that they can listen to your lectures. The second challenge is to follow the syllabus challenge. Online or offline, an academic program should be running systematically. Of course, you can systematically lecture as per a syllabus, but what about immediate feedback of children? So it is very difficult for you to know whether the kids are following you as you follow the syllabus. The theme of today's discussion is there any other better solution? A solution which can be implemented online? A solution that improves at the same time the level of the preschool and primary school education? I would like to present to you a concept and a program of online teaching which could improve the quality of preschool and primary school education considerably. I am a professor in physics and mechanical engineering at Varghese School of Engineering and Technology. You may readily ask, what on hell shall a professor speak on preschool and primary school education? Let me tell you, last 14 years, I was trying to develop a suitable curriculum for engineers, equipping the would-be engineers professionally for the workspaces of tomorrow. I thought for myself, is it not better to start from the foundations of learning? And you know, the foundations of learning is taking place from preschool and primary school levels. I am also director of Varghese Media, and there is a team of experts at Varghese Media who were experimenting with a new pedagogy which could run online during these lockdown months of April and May. Now today in this talk, I would like to introduce to you the results of those experiments, I clearly find two important set of challenges for the next generation learners. The Gen Next learners are condemned to be creative. Incidentally, this is the title of a book which I have written in 2019. If you look at the industrial age, we see initially that there were large number of jobs which is repetitive and redundant. You might have seen Charlie Chaplin comedies, how he runs around doing this job. But in all those jobs, almost all of these jobs are replaced or taken over by mechatronic robots. And now we are living in digital age. And you know what is happening in digital age? Large number of decision making or logical thinking jobs are being taken over by artificial intelligence driven humanoids like Sophia. They have ready answers. They analyze the data, big data they analyze and take decisions, better decisions than human counterparts. And you know, all these kind of jobs, managerial jobs, organizational jobs will be taken over by machines in the future. And there is another set of important challenge for Generation Next learners. Generation Next learners are condemned to be free, available. You know, in the information age, we clearly see a takeover of knowledge by skills. Information or knowledge is there readily, but there's a rarity of skills. In earlier times, wise people were generally termed as walking encyclopedias. But today we don't need a walking encyclopedia because we have Google. So the information and knowledge is not that important as skills. So this is the big change brought about by the information age. And we are also living in Uber age, where the careers are no more. Services are important. The careers are taken over by services. You can take up any service based on the skills you have developed. Now, corresponding to this big, drastic landslide changes happening, paradigm shifts that's happening, we have to listen to, we have to hear the call of creativity. The new generation students are supposed to be totally creative. They're called to live a life full of newness. This requires a paradigm shift from rote learning to learning by knowledge creation. Rote learning, you know, we read things repeatedly and are able to repeat it like a parrot. That's what is happening in rote learning. But that is no more important, no more relevant. A child, a new generation child, should learn by creating new knowledge. There's a call of fluency. A new generation child, new generation learner should be a fluent person. A life full of fun. There's another name for this. It requires a paradigm shift once again from learning with difficulty. In Malayalam we say, buddhimutti padikkuka. So from that, learning with difficulty, a child should learn in a flow, as in a game, as in a play. The third call, which I've listened to, is the call of vivacity, a life full of life. It requires a paradigm shift from imbibing knowledge to the process of imbibing life skills. I already mentioned to you that imbibing knowledge is not going to be important in the future as imbibing the life skills. Life should be full of life with vivacity. This is the third call. We hear also a fourth call, a call of synergy. Life full of play and full of flexibility. You should be flexibly working with others. There's a need of a paradigm shift from competition to collaboration. You should be able to work together with the other person and produce a synergy of knowledge. There is finally a call of diversity. Life full of facets, aspects, options. A new generation learner should create his life with full of facets, options and aspects. It requires again a paradigm shift from learning a career to learning a service. You should be prepared for imbibing skills so that you could do any service. So, the question today is, can we have a new way of online teaching at primary school or preschool level, which may bring about this paradigm shift? I would call this crisis as a prob opportunity, a problem with opportunity. As you might have heard, the Chinese word for crisis is Wai Jai. There are two words there, Wai Jai. Wai stands for danger. It means dangerous, precarious. It refers to the aspect of danger which is contained in a crisis. But there's a second syllable, G. It means a point where things happen, where things change, a kairos, an important moment where things change, an opportunity, a chance, a good timing. These are the connotations of this syllable G. So we are living a crisis. We are trying to overcome a crisis which is called corona crisis. Of course there is a danger. We are afraid whether the learning process will be all topsy-turvy. It's a problem. But at the same time, it offers a new opportunity for a paradigm shift, a complete change for the process of education as such. I imagine, if you are careful, we would bring about a paradigm shift in the primary education as we go for the online solution. In fact, we didn't invent anything totally new. Rather, we based ourselves on the grand education legacy of India. We drew heavily from the Buddhist pedagogy. As you know, Buddhists are the people who founded the first universities in the universe, in this world. Universities like Nalanda and Takshashila. They also had a pedagogy there. We try to look closely into their pedagogy. It is clearly seen that in Buddhist schools, the learning is curiosity or jitnyasa driven learning. The initiative of the learning shall come from the learner himself or herself. It is not transmission of some already available knowledge to the learner. Now the learner should take initiative. And the learner should undergo or make mindful exploration to gain knowledge. But of course there could be some students which are lagging behind. So they may be given triggers for their curiosity, jijnasa. And there's a Buddhist way of doing this particular arousal of curiosity. Buddhist way of kindle the curiosity. You have heard about koans. Koans are designed in order to trigger the curiosity, the kindle the curiosity of the learner. One koan reads like this: when both hands are clapped, a sound is produced. Now the learner is asked, listen to the sound of one hand clapping. This is a Zen Buddhist koan. Of course, this is a kind of riddle, a paradox, which will naturally drive the child, the learner, to explore, to understand further. So the first characteristic of Buddhist pedagogy is that it is curiosity or jijnasa driven learning. The second aspect is that it is a freedom driven learning. You know, the term shunya, which makes the modern zero, is an invention of Buddhists. Shunya is an absolute freedom. Freedom from everything which restricts a person. A freedom that enables bold expressions. Freedom and fluency of expression in communication. That is the second important aspect of Buddhist learning. The third aspect of Buddhist pedagogy is that it is self-realization driven learning. The purpose of education is self-realization or nirvana. The seeker is expected to perfect one's own skills, styles, attitudes, and values, to actualize oneself, to fully realize oneself, to attain nirvana. So that is the third aspect, self-realization driven learning. And fourth aspect, it's a debate driven learning. It's not sufficient that a learner learns for himself. The learning of a learner should be primed with the discussions, debates, and dialogues. The Sangha, the Buddhist monastic communities, are established for this kind of discussions, debates, and dialogues. And through these discussions, debates, and dialogues, there arises a synergy of knowledge. So the fourth aspect of Buddhist pedagogy is that it is a debate-driven learning. Learning with others. And fifth aspect of Buddhist pedagogy is it is service-driven learning. You know the concept of Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is a person who defers his nirvana for the sake of the well-being of others, for the sake of teaching others. So a career of a seeker is in fact defined by service. So that is the fifth aspect of Buddhist pedagogy. Now you can call the pedagogy of Buddhist schools as Pallikoodam pedagogy. The word Pallikoodam is of Pali origin. You know, the Pali was the language of Buddha. And in that language, Pali just meant Buddhist monasteries. And Kudam is something attached to Buddhist monasteries. And Buddhist monasteries were always attached with schools. And because of that, Pallikoodam came to be the name for Buddhist schools. And today, the Pali language is written in different scripts. One of the scripts in which Pali language is written is Brahmi scripts. And you can see in Pali, this word Pallikudam is written as shown. And it's also clear when you analyze the South Indian languages, both Tamil and Malayalam are having this word Pallikudam, which means school. So you can imagine that in the South Indian regions, the Buddhist influence or influence of the Buddhist pedagogy was very much. Now, being director of Rajagiri Media, let me tell you, we have a magazine for education sector which is called Pallikudam magazine, and large number of palette of products and services which is having the name Pallikudam. So in fact, we want to carry forward the Buddhist legacy of education, the grand, ancient, national pedagogy of India. Now let me try to give you an overview of the new Pallikudam pedagogy which is suitable for online teaching. There are two aspects for this. In the first part, let us focus on the foundational learning experience of a child. A child undergoing all different levels of stages of learning to understand the meaning of learning. This is an initial capital of the child which equips the child to learn further, to build upon it. So the first part of this pedagogy will focus upon the process of learning, the how of learning. How can somebody learn something? We describe this process in 5 steps, exactly following the legendary pedagogy by Buddhists. The step number 1 is a creation step. It is called creation. The child is invited to make mindful exploration into the reality outside, aided by its 5 senses, and creates a new piece of information. So learning does not start with a already given piece of information. Rather, the child is asked to create a piece of information through its exploration, aided by its senses. That is the first step. In the second step, it is a step of celebration. The child celebrates its discovery of new knowledge in diverse and creative ways. And this celebration is similar to the eureka moment of a discovery. You know, when somebody discovers something, there's a eureka moment. And the child should enjoy this eureka moment. The child should celebrate this eureka moment by variety of expression, variety of communication it does with this particular knowledge. And the third step is a step of challenge. Here, the child is invited to use this particular new knowledge it has created and it has celebrated to expand, to enhance its own existential horizons, developing the life skills, values, attitudes, etc. Here, the knowledge is made use not to challenge somebody else, rather to challenge oneself, to improve oneself, to perfect oneself. That is the third stage of learning. And the fourth stage is a stage of collaboration. And here the child playfully cooperates with others. It makes a play, a game. It gamifies the knowledge and invite others to play with. And in this effort, it will be consolidating its own knowledge in true synergy with others. And the last and fifth stage is a campaign stage. where the child, along with the collaborators, employ the new knowledge for some service meant for the welfare or well-being of others. So this is the foundational experience, learning experience. Now once a child has undergone, has captured this how of learning, the foundational experience of learning, of course, then comes the teachers to give additional learning experiences. Here is the only place where the content of learning becomes important. The what of learning gains importance here. So there could be different sources of knowledge for the students. The teachers, for example, can consolidate whatever known about this particular area of new knowledge, and the media can do their job. So both teachers and other media can help the child to assimilate new contents of this knowledge so that it perfects, it further learns. But making sure that everything is founded on the piling made by the child itself, its own foundational learning experience. Let me now elaborate on different stages or steps of foundational learning experience of a child. Let's start with the first step, the step of creation. Here the child creates a piece of knowledge with its own effort. As with Buddhist pedagogy, here again it is jijnasa or curiosity-driven learning. The child uses its 5 senses and explores the outside reality. The 5 senses here works as inlet valves for information, for inflow of information, or you can say they are the windows of information. The learner creates new knowledge through own observations and explorations. Of course, you know the curiosity is a natural talent, natural instinct for a child. And it is always the driving force for a learner. We have heard the repeated question, why, from a child. It's an expression of its curiosity. So, children are naturally gifted with this instinct. But in case you find that the child is not that curious, you can use, as used by the Buddhist pedagogy, curiosity triggers, the koans. They use it to provoke the learner, the child, to kickstart its exploration into the world outside. So, this is the first aspect of the creation. The child should be aroused in its curiosity or jijnasa, either naturally or with using a curiosity trigger. Now, the second aspect is that this should drive the child to create a new knowledge. Creation-driven learning. So, the creation of knowledge, not its accumulation, is the starting point of learning. We have to imagine the meaning of the word educate. In Latin, it means ex ducere. Ex ducere. To take out. To take out of the person. It is not something to be input from outside. Rather, it should be taken out of the person, out of the learner. That is what is called education. The consolidated knowledge, the connected knowledge about the subject matter of learning can be gathered later on. But at this stage, the student should try its hand at creating a new knowledge. And the learner, by this process, takes over the reins of learning as a creator of new knowledge. The learner learns with pride, with self-confidence. It improves its self-esteem. That is the purpose of this particular aspect of learning. So, in the first step of creation, the child, using its curiosity, creates a piece of knowledge. And the learning outcomes at this stage are the following. The child masters the skill of observation and exploration. Secondly, the child masters the skill of creation of knowledge. And additionally, as I have mentioned, the child develops a sense of belonging or ownership of the knowledge. It develops self-confidence, its pride, self-esteem. Let us now discuss the second step of the foundational learning experience. It is called celebration. Here the child is creatively and fluently communicating the new knowledge to others as in a celebration. As a precondition for this celebration, the child should free its mind from all creativity constraints, the so-called creativity killers, the fear, favor, etc., etc. And you know, usually a child is having a free mind, shunya-like mind, nothing in its mind, no assumptions, no presupposition, no prejudice. So the child can celebrate its newly found knowledge. The second aspect is that the child makes a freewheeling of its mind. What is freewheeling? You know, usually the gears are engaging the engine with the tires of a car. But now we have to disengage. The gears disengage. So it's in a neutral position. So it's free run, free go. And thirdly, the child furnishes polygonal and multidimensional, multimedial expressions, different ways of expressing. It cultivates fluent thinking skills, which is generally a polymath or a genius is having. Children are polymaths, they are genius. They are naturally polygonal. They can express things in multiple ways. And it is allowed to do that in celebration of its newly discovered piece of knowledge. And fourthly, the child focuses on creative communication, celebrative communication. It can yell out, Eureka! You know, this Eureka is associated with Archimedes. Eureka means I have it, I have discovered it. With self-esteem, pride, the child should be able to say, Eureka, I have found it, I have made it. It should celebrate its new knowledge through artistic expressions, different types of expressions. Now let's summarize the learning outcome in the second stage of celebration. Here the child masters the skill of creative expression. The child masters the skill of prolific communication. Further, the child develops a sense of self-esteem of the knowledge. It understands that knowledge is not something that is to be feared, to be afraid of. Rather, it is something to be celebrated. Let us now discuss about the third step of the foundational learning experience of a child. It is challenge. In this stage, the child challenges itself. The child perfects itself using the new piece of knowledge it has gathered. As you know, any piece of new knowledge reveals new avenues, new horizons of life. Every piece of knowledge posits new ways of being in the world, new ways of doing things, new ways of imagining things, reacting to things, responding to things, etc., etc. So the child perceives the options for self-perfection using the same knowledge it has gathered. So knowing becomes an act of self-realization, self-perfection. This is perfectly as per Buddhist understanding of knowledge. The knowledge is used here as a means for self-realization, nirvana. Now the child challenges itself to grow more and more. It challenges itself to enhance its talents, skills, values, and attitudes. Knowledge is rather transformed into skills. It becomes part and parcel of one's own definition. It's not outside oneself, rather it's a part of oneself. Usually knowledge remains in the head, it's not in the body. But through this process of challenging oneself with the knowledge, knowledge transforms into skills and becomes part and parcel of the person. The anticipated learning outcome of this third stage of foundational learning experience, the challenge is, firstly, the child hones its life skills. Secondly, the child also improves its own mission and self-definition. Child develops a sense of deep learning. Learning does not become superficial, does not remain on the surface. Rather, it is going deep. It is getting into the self, interiorized, getting into the very existence of the person. You can call it existential learning. Knowledge is made part and parcel of the definition of the self itself. It can be also called encrypted learning. The knowledge is becoming part of one's own genes, one's own DNA, part of the flesh, blood, and bones. Let us now go to the fourth stage of the foundational learning experience of a child. It is called collaboration. In this particular stage, the child playfully cooperates with others, as in a game, and consolidates its knowledge in true synergy. As a first step, child gamifies the new knowledge. It makes a game out of the knowledge. As we know, the children are the best game makers. They make games out of nothing. So are the childlike learners. Childlike learners are experts or makers of game. Now, by making games out of the new knowledge, the child completely expels the fear over what is learned. For example, whether what is understood, what is learned will be forgotten during an examination. All these fears are no more. The child masters, the child manifests the mastery over what is learned. Now, as a second stage, child enters into a playful synergy with others. It invites others to play with the same game the child has developed. The child asks others to please come and join me in a play. So it has two distinct purposes. The first purpose is to master the all-important new generation skill of teamwork. Knowledge is no more created in isolation. In modern world, knowledge is made together in collaboration, cooperation with others, not in competition. So competitive learning is giving way to cooperative learning, collaborative learning. So the child prepares itself to learn from others. It's an important skill. The new generation learner should master this skill. It should be open to others. Secondly, it also masters the art of synergy. Learning in collaboration equips the learner to synergize the knowledge they have discovered with the experience of others, achieving a perfection for the knowledge. So this could be described as art of synergy. So better knowledge is the result of this particular process. Let's now discuss the learning outcomes of this fourth stage of foundational learning experience of a child, collaboration. Firstly, child masters the skill of synergy, teamwork, and collaboration in the production and communication of new knowledge. Secondly, the child also develops a sense of absolute mastery over whatever is learned, so as to put it into a game or a play. The last and final stage of the new Panthalookaran pedagogy, which is designed to develop the foundational learning experience of a child, is campaign. At this stage, the child utilizes the knowledge gained for the welfare or well-being of others. So the child has discovered a knowledge, it has celebrated a knowledge, it has used the knowledge to perfect itself, and in synergy with others it has further developed the knowledge. So that particular knowledge it is using for the welfare of others. Here, child learns the art of service to others. It masters the art of service. Here others include family, the village, the city, the region, nation, world, the ecosystem, or the universe. Child positions itself as an essential and useful member of the society. It learns to apply whatever knowledge it garners to put it in the service of others. In this way, it also defines possible roles as an individual in a community or a society. Secondly, child gradually discerns its core, its career. Child is allowed to discern the future options for its career, its life. A career here is visualized as a service, taking into account the paradigm shift that has happened, the concept of career in the modern times, which I have described earlier. Career is service. So the child discerns the future service options, future career options. Secondly, by translating the knowledge into services, the child also learns entrepreneurial skills, business development skills, entrepreneurial skills they are called. How to convert the knowledge into products and services, that is the key question here. So in this way, the child not only learns the service, it also learns his career, it learns to make products and services in an entrepreneurial way. Let's summarize the learning outcome of this final stage, which is called campaign. In this stage, child masters the skill of service, leading to the development of careers and entrepreneurial skills. Secondly, child develops its ability to perform its own duties towards others. This is so-called deontological aspect of learning. A child has to function as a member of the society, adopting duties for the society. And child develops an ability to perform such duties to the society or to the environment, to the cosmos by this activity. And as a result of all this, the child also develops a sense of belonging to the society, community, to a nation, to the world, to the universe, to the cosmos. Let's make a quick recap of whatever we have spoken about the foundational learning experience. As we have seen, it is having 5 stages, 5 elements. They are creation, celebration, challenge, collaboration, and campaign. 5 C's, we can say. The first C, the creation. In this stage, learner starts with a discovery of a new piece of information, of a knowledge. Of course, the stimuli for this kind of exploration can be given by a guru or a facilitator. The second stage is stage of celebration, where the learning continues with creative communication of the discovery to the world. The freedom, fluency, the creativity of expression, they are the absolute values at this stage. Third C, the challenge. Here, the learning is interiorized. It becomes an existential stuff. By employing the knowledge for self-perfection, the perfection of life skills, attitudes, values, a child interiorizes existentially the knowledge, and the knowledge becomes part and parcel of itself. The fourth C, the collaboration, where the child develops a game out of the knowledge and invites others to participate in this game and further develop together in synergy with others the knowledge. Here, openness, collaboration, synergy, they are the paramount values. And fifth stage is a stage of campaign. Here, the learning transforms into service to others. This is in fact the coronation moment, the crowning moment of learning, when the learner gains insights into one's own call and career. It learns the art of service, the spirit of true entrepreneurship. Now, if you carefully look at it, the focus here is on the how of learning, not on what of learning. So learning does not mean to amass a lot of knowledge, rather to understand how to learn. If a child has completely understood how to learn, then the content can add up. So in the foundational learning experience, the learner familiarizes with the process, the how of the knowing. That is a kind of rock foundation upon which the house of knowledge can be built. In other words, the house of knowledge is built on the self-learning, the swadhyaya of a child. And this new pedagogy, which we named as New Pallikoodam pedagogy, defines a modern learning process of a child in tune with the requirements of the age of information, which I have discussed earlier. Ajaryade padamadate padam shishya samethaya sa brahmacharibhya padam kalakramena cha. This is our traditional understanding of addition of knowledge. 1/4 of the knowledge comes from the teacher, 1/4 from own intelligence, 1/4 from classmates, and 1/4 only with time. So we have already spoken about 1/4 of the knowledge which a child explores, develops through its own intelligence, its own discovery. Now let's discuss about additional learning experience. How further knowledge will be added to this foundational learning experience of a child? There could be 2 major sources of contribution in the modern world. The first contribution is from teachers. Teachers do 2 types of services according to my thinking. Firstly, it is a summarization service. Teachers deftly summarize the accumulated knowledge till date related to the piece of knowledge the learner has already mastered. So everything related to the piece of knowledge the child has developed, teacher summarizes. So this is a summarization of the accumulated knowledge of the past. The second service of a teacher is an integration service. Here the teachers expose interconnectedness or correlations between pieces of knowledge in different disciplines and facilitates a kind of interdisciplinary understanding of things and help the learner, the child, to acquire an integral view of knowledge. Now, second major contribution of the additional knowledge comes from other media other than teachers. We can identify two types of services here. The first service is the news service. Media in general enlighten the learners the state-of-the-art knowledge, bringing currency to the gathered or generated information, thus giving currency for the knowledge. That is the job of a news service. Secondly, there's also a kind of insight service which the media could provide. Here the media enlightens the learner with research-based or futuristic trajectory of the knowledge. It shows the future direction in which this particular knowledge will grow. So these two services, news service and insight service, which is given by some educational media. And Rajagiri Media, I'm proud to say that it gives this kind of news service and insight service to the students. As I mentioned earlier, during April and May 2020, during the COVID-19 related lockdown months, we were making pilot implementation of this new Panthalookaran pedagogy. Whatever we have done for preschool teaching, we have summarized under the name Panthalookaran PLAYMATE. You can very well see Panthalookaran PLAYMATE under the link in the edu portal www.panthalookaran.com and its related social media platforms. Let me also present in front of you another sample for online primary school teaching. Whatever we do for primary school, we have compiled under the title Panthalookaran Companion. Now looking to the future, we have already found the children are able to participate in this program online and they learn very much. The parents are happy, the siblings are happy, the children are happy, they're happily sharing everything with us. What remains for me is just to summarize the salient points of discussion which I have made. We have seen the most challenged group of teachers during this corona crisis are the preschool and primary school teachers. We have also found online teaching is possible for preschoolers and primary schoolers, which could be done in collaboration with parents. Third, online teaching at preschool and primary school levels could initiate a much needed paradigm shift in the learning process for the next generation students. Fourth, there's a lot to learn from the ancient Indian education legacy, especially from the legacy of Buddhist schools, which is summarized as Panthalookaran pedagogy. And the fifth point, the Panthalookaran pedagogy is capable of meeting the requirements of online teaching as well as that of the necessary paradigm shift in preschool and primary school learning process in the country. And sixth point, Pallikoodam PLAYMATE and Pallikoodam Companion provide online learning resource for preschool kids and primary school children respectively, according to the new Pallikoodam pedagogy at a national level starting from 1st of June 2020. Rajagiri Media invites all preschool and primary school teachers to join hands with us to ensure that the learning of the next generation children is well founded on their own learning experience, the Swadhyaya, and that it is adapted to the drastic changes occurring in the technology-driven workspace of the future. Namaste.